Thank you for your interest in the Spring 2020 Oral History Project. My name is Valencia L. Johnson, and I am the Project Archivist for Student Life at Princeton University. During the presentation, we will cover the project scope, AMP Up LibGuide, which will provide you with resources to support you through the interview process, the release forms, recording platforms to use while social distancing, tips for a good interview, and additional resources for any oral history project. If you have any questions after the presentation, do not hesitate to contact me at vj2@princeton.edu. Let's get started. What is the project? This project hopes to bring together narratives of how people experienced the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic during the spring of 2020 through oral history interviews. Some of you may be wondering, what are oral histories? The short answer, it is your story in your voice. Oral history interviews are created to get first-hand accounts about a specific topic, person, or an event. For example, Mudd Library has oral history interviews about Senator Bill Bradley and interviews focused on coeducation and athletics at Princeton. Oral histories are also used to give underdocumented and underrepresented communities an authoritative voice within the historic record. For example, the LGBTQIA+ Oral History Project, created by the LGBT Center at Princeton, and the Abigail Kolansky Oral History Collection on Jewish Life at Princeton. Links will be provided to explore the oral history projects mentioned on this slide. Current undergraduate and graduate students, staff, faculty, administrators, and alumni at Princeton University are welcome to participate in this project. In shorter terms, the entire university community. To cut down on how many times I say interview and to avoid confusion when I have to refer to both interviewers and interviewees, in this presentation and in our documentation, interviewees are referred to as narrators. It is fitting since you, the narrator, are telling the story of your spring 2020 experience. We are living through an extraordinary time filled with uncertainty, stress, and loss. It's affecting everyone in the world. We are all processing this pandemic in different ways, and my hope for this project is that it becomes a useful tool to help people on their processing journey. This project is just one avenue to document what it's like to be you, here, and now. To help everyone who wants to join the project, I've created a libguide filled with resources covered in this presentation. On the libguide page, you'll have access to this recording and the presentation slides, PDF and electronic links to the release forms, suggested interview questions, Creative Commons license flowchart, a project steps document, and a sign-up sheet for interview partners. The URL for the libguide is libguides.princeton.edu/amp-up. In this section, we will be covering the release forms for the interviewer and the narrator. These documents are essential to the project and must be completed. The interviewer's release form documents that the interviewer consents to be recorded for this project, will adhere to the publication of the interview as determined by the narrator, and will release the university from any and all claims. If you are participating as an interviewer for multiple narrators, you only need to complete this form once. The most important form for the oral history project is the release form for the narrator. The narrator controls how and when the interview is published, and this is essential information for the archivist preserving your story to know. In the first section of the release form, the narrator is consenting to being recorded, agrees to act in accordance with the university rules, and releases the university from any and all claims. We also gather your email and information about your relationship with the university, like whether you're a student, staff member, faculty, or alumni. The contact information you provide will only be used by library staff members working on the project. It will be used to communicate directions about transcript editing and potential questions should the need arise. In the following section of the release form, you have the option to be anonymous. If you choose this option, only your transcript will be available since library staff cannot anonymize voices. Your interview will be given a unique pseudonym such as Tiger001. The next section of the form sets the level of access people will have to your interview. There are 4 different options for you. Option 1 is no restrictions. This will allow people to listen and read your story as soon as the archivists are finished preserving it. The transcript and at a later date the recording will be made available online through the library's Finding Aid website. Option 2 will restrict access to your interview to the reading room of Mudd Library. A library staff member will have to mediate access to your story. Option 3 will restrict your interview to the reading room until a specific date. Afterwards, it will be made available online. This option is a combination of 1 and 2. Option 4 restricts all access to your oral history until a specific date. No one will be able to listen and read your story until that date has passed. If you choose this option, I encourage you to think of the earliest date you will want someone to experience your story. It is very important you are making an informed decision, so if you have any questions, please contact me at vj2@princeton.edu. The final section of the narrator's release form handles copyright. There are 2 options: transfer copyright to the university or retain your copyright and choose a Creative Commons license. If you transfer copyright to the university, researchers will be allowed to use your story without contacting Princeton University. If you choose to retain your copyright and choose a Creative Commons license, researchers will be able to determine how they can use your story in their work and how to credit you. The next slide will walk you through the different Creative Commons licenses. This wonderful flowchart created by Creative Commons Australia will help you to determine which license is right for you. This flowchart is also available on the libguide. I encourage you to visit creativecommons.org to learn more about Creative Commons. All paperwork should be reviewed and preferably completed before recording anything. Please remember, at any time the narrator can end the interview and/or refuse to discuss certain topics. Our communication during this pandemic has changed, and this project wants to honor social distancing practices. The following slides suggest some common video chat platforms and links to documentation on how to use them. Please go to the libguide to access the slides from this presentation to view the embedded videos. This is in no way saying you have to use any of these platforms. All we need to process your submission is an audio recording. Please use headphones with a built-in microphone whenever possible to ensure good sound quality. Here's a slide for Google Meet. You can also use Zoom, and you can also use Skype to record your interview. Remember, you can access these 3 slides on the libguide to view the embedded documentation. Tips for a good interview. The following slides are from the My Princeton Oral History Project, a project focused on current undergraduate and graduate students' experiences. To learn more about this project, please contact mudd@princeton.edu and the AMP Up LibGuide. When you begin your interview, it's good to locate yourself in time and space. Try something like, "This is Valencia Johnson with Ferrara Berdini. It is date, and we are at our respective homes in Plainsboro, New Jersey, and Kansas City, Kansas. We are recording for the Spring 2020 Oral History Project." As the interviewer, you are there to listen to the narrator and help guide future listeners through the interview. You can ask the narrator to elaborate and clarify points. Some helpful prompts include, "Tell me how it was." "Describe it in your own words." "Some people remember that." "Some have said that." The LibGuide has a section of suggested interview questions to help you and your interview partner. The balance between a questionnaire and an oral history interview can be difficult to achieve. While the suggested questions are available to help start the interview, you're not beholden to them. Let the conversation deviate naturally and ask follow-up questions as they come up. However, keep in mind that this session is being recorded for others to listen to, and keeping the tangents to a minimum is important. Avoid leading questions that center your perspective. For example, "Rough day, right?" is a different question than the open-ended, "How is your day?" Sometimes silence speaks volumes. It's okay if the narrator is trying to find the right words or is taking their time thinking of your question. If it seems like the narrator needs help, acknowledge their silence and try reframing your question. It is okay to get emotional during an interview. You're human. It is also okay to take breaks, and not only because you've been talking for a long time. A good final question to ask towards the end of the interview is there anything else you want to talk about? As a closer, please thank the narrator for sharing their experience and make sure you stop the recording. Here are a few notes for everyone. There's no time limit for your interview, but please remember to be reasonable. No one is here to police content. Talk how you talk, use the words that come naturally to you. Be yourself. Be real. Narrators will have an opportunity to edit and improve the interview transcript before it's made available. Reminder: staff and faculty are mandatory reporters for illegal activities such as underage drinking and drug use and sexual misconduct. You should be mindful about discussing the conduct of yourself and others while recording. You've completed your interview and have saved it. Congratulations! Now it's time to submit it. Let's walk through the project steps. Step 1. Complete and sign the release forms. Step 2. Conduct and save your interview. Step 3. Share your interview with mud@princeton.edu. Either the interviewer or the narrator can do this step. In most cases, your interview will be too large to attach through email. You will have to upload it into the cloud and share it. Once you share your recording, MUD staff members will begin the transcription process. The final step for the narrator is to review and approve the transcript. I will be here for any questions along the way. You can always check out the libguide or email me at vj2@princeton.edu. Wrapping up this presentation, I want to express how important you are. Your story matters, it is valued, and it will be celebrated. Special thanks to the other members of the My Princeton Oral History Project team: Amanda Ferrara, Public Services Project Archivist, and Annalise Berdini, Digital Archivist. Our hard work over the past 2 years allowed for this project to happen. Thank you. For more resources and to learn about the My Princeton Oral History Project, please visit the AMP Up LibGuide. Here are some useful resources for oral history projects. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Please make sure to visit the LibGuide at libguides.princeton.edu/ampup for further documentation. I hope to hear from you soon. Stay safe.